enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Welcome to the best of Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
I would never talk to you as if you're dumb. I know that I have the smartest audience in syndicated radio, and I am honored and humbled by that reality. I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm glad to have you tuned into our program today. It's a big day around here. Tonight, we are live on C-SPAN. I'll tell you more about that in just a second. But in this hour, as promised, two conversations. On the B side of this hour, a dialogue with filmmaker Andre Gaines about his new History Channel documentary, Triumph, Jesse Owens and the Berlin Olympics. The project is exec produced by LeBron James and Maverick Carter, narrated by actor Don Cheadle. We'll talk about Jesse Owens and this new doc about him with the filmmaker Andre Gaines on the back side of this hour. We commenced this hour with urban planner J. Philip Thompson, who joins us right now in advance of tonight's primetime symposium on C-SPAN, featuring an all-star panel of black folk talking about the urgency of now, climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. You've been hearing about this for some weeks now. The day that that we've been waiting on has arrived, and so tonight at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific, tune into C-SPAN for a live 3-hour conversation featuring a stage full of nothing but us, black folk, talking about these issues. I've said many, many times that these climate maladies are silent killers in our community, and we have frankly been too silent in the conversation. And so we're going to flip the frame tonight. We're going to flip the script and show the country for the first time ever a bunch of us, people of color, talking about these issues and their impact on us. And so we continue our series of year-long conversations with all kinds of experts in the climate space. And again, I'm pleased to welcome urban planner J. Philip Thompson to this program right now. How are you today?
Doing very well. Thank you.
It's good to have you on the program. You heard me mention a moment ago this big event that we have tonight on C-SPAN. When you think about climate in the black community, I'm asking this question broadly, unapologetically. When you think about the intersection of black folk and climate, you think what, J. Philip Thompson?
Well, first of all, I think that the most environmentally important areas for our atmosphere are Central Africa, like the Congo and the Amazon. The Amazon is 80% Afro-descendant. Mm-hmm. Indigenous people are about 10%, and they're important, but the Afro-descendant folks aren't really in the conversation when they have the global climate summits and so forth. So you really can't save the planet without black folks. That's the first thing that comes to mind for me. And secondly, because of trillions in investment by the Biden administration, there are opportunities for black communities to take advantage of these resources to become green, but also to gain economically. And I don't think the word has really gotten out in our communities. And there are a lot of other folks who are lining up to try and grab those resources away from us.
He has set the frame. When we come forward, I know exactly where I want to go now. We will talk in a moment about the fact that there aren't just maladies, there aren't just crises and catastrophes in this climate space. Indeed, there are economic opportunities. We'll get to some of that tonight in our conversation. But why wait until tonight? We can have that conversation right now with J. Philip Thompson about what these economic opportunities are for us that others are taking advantage of, number one. And I love how he went right to it. I love any guest who can turn a phrase and grab my attention, as many conversations that I have every day around here every week. But he went right at it. You cannot save the planet without black folk. Couldn't have been more clear. You just can't save the planet without black folk. We'll interrogate and let him unpack that powerful and arresting statement a bit more when we come forward with urban planner J. Philip Thompson on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Oh, man. Looks like Bobby needs a ride to the airport again.
Grab the keys.
Who's taking Auntie and her friends to the swap meet?
Grab the keys.
How about we drop these boxes off at Miss Johnson?
Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, you're all about getting things done. So do it all in a Chevy SUV. From the versatile Equinox and sporty Blazer to the roomy Traverse, our lineup of SUVs will carry you through every adventure. All you have to do is
grab the keys.
That's how we do. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
If we're the ones disproportionately impacted by these climate catastrophes,
Why should we be silent?
turning up the volume all year long on the climate conversation for KBLA Talk 1580.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin ultra strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, drop it.
Okay.
Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Bianna's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. You know, I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. You know, basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, and here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste, so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More Bob Marley. You'll be hearing Bob Marley all day today, all 3 hours of our program, because it's June, Black Music Month, and that's how we do it around here. We pick a different artist every day and play some of the best of their stuff as we move in and out of these conversations, all 3 hours of today's show. And today we are playing the best, some of the best, of Bob Marley. We're going to reggae today. We are doing this every day, as we do every June, so there's gospel and hip-hop and R&B and jazz and folk, everything that black folk have ever done. Musically, we try to find at least one day to feature that on our program. And today, again, all 3 hours, it's Bob Marley. Again, tonight, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific, a historic conversation on C-SPAN that I am honored to moderate and to curate, an all-star panel of participants, the likes of which the country has never seen. C-SPAN is very kind and very excited to schedule this tonight in prime time. You don't get prime time on C-SPAN easily. We got it because we're doing something that's never been done before. A stage full of black people talking about the urgency of now climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. You do not want to miss that program on C-SPAN this evening. We continue now our series of year-long conversations with all kinds of experts in the climate space. Delighted to have on this program right now urban planner J. Philip Thompson. You went right at this a moment ago, Mr. Thompson, and I want to go at it right now and give you more time and more space to unpack this. When you just put that statement out so clearly and so forthrightly that you cannot save the planet without black folk, Unpack that for me.
Well, a few years ago, I was deputy mayor of New York, and during the Glasgow climate meetings, and a guy named Luis Murillo, who was the first black governor of Chocó of Colombia, which is 12 million black folks live there, and he's now foreign minister of Colombia. He organized a session with 22 countries throughout Latin America, the Caribbean, all black folks, in senior levels in government, and he said, how can it be that we're 80% of the most environmentally sensitive areas in the Americas, including the Amazon, and we have absolutely no voice and no recognition in Glasgow? So that began a conversation, and we've started talking also to African leaders. We hold the lungs of the planet, and no recognition, and money that's being handed out to help folks who are saving the rest of the world by not burning down forest, they're not getting compensated by the rich countries that caused the atmospheric crisis in the first place.
You've said it 3 times now by my count. Let me just ask you point blank and directly. Why is it that, and you're making an international point, but why is it internationally and domestically or domestically that people of color, black folk, have been left out of these conversations? I refer to these maladies as silent killers, and I think they are in a variety of ways. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that we should, and for that matter, all the more reason why we should not be silent in the conversation. Why have we been left out of this conversation, or is there some complicity in being left out on our part?
I think it's traditional white supremacy that's at work here, and it conflicts with actually saving the planet. And so most black folks live in older buildings than anybody else in the country, this country. At least half say they lived in windy, drafty buildings. And that means energy just goes out the window, literally. They don't have decent insulation. They don't have decent windows. And so you're not going to reduce energy consumption unless we solve basic problems of quality housing that affects black communities across the country. And those are things that there's been insufficient investment on. Another thing I would say is there are all these new electric vehicle manufacturing plants opening up in the South, in Georgia and in Alabama, South Carolina, and companies like Mercedes-Benz and Kia and Hyundai and others are building plants there to take advantage of cheap black labor. So as long as folks think they can pay black folks less than they pay white folks or other folks doing the exact same work elsewhere in the country, we're going to have a problem. Because black folks won't be able to afford solar panels and $12,000 solar batteries and electric vehicles, for that matter. And we won't save the planet with just white folks buying these things and installing these things.
I am curious about the intersection of your work as an urban planner and these issues that we are discussing and dissecting right now. Tell me about that intersection, J. Philip Thompson.
So what I've been working on is really training graduate students from a bunch of schools. I'm at MIT, but other schools as well, to really work with black-led cities and also black institutions to understand the opportunities in the Inflation Reduction Act and other kinds of recent legislation since Biden. So one of the provisions of the Inflation Reduction Act, which is $400 billion almost in direct spending and 3 times that in indirect, like tax credits, where there's no cap. For the first time in history, nonprofits can qualify for tax credits. That means like schools and hospitals and other nonprofits. If you take an HBCU like Tuskegee, they own about 5,000 acres of land they're not using. Because they don't pay taxes, they're a nonprofit, the federal government will pay up to 70% of the cost if they want to install solar panels on their properties, which means they could wipe out their energy bill, they could sell energy back to the grid, and make a lot of money for Tuskegee University, and the federal government will pay 70% up front of that cost. That's just one example. And we could be doing things like that all across the country.
I've heard for years now, as have you, of course, doing the work that you do so excellently. We've been hearing this phrase, green jobs, forever. I'm sure it will come up tonight in our conversation. You mentioned earlier, and you just gave an example of one of the many economic opportunities that do, in fact, exist for us. But if we're left out of the conversation, we're not only then not talking about the disproportionate ways that we are impacted by these, again, catastrophes, but we're also not talking about this notion of green jobs, which I want to ask whether or not that is that real? Is that really real? Or is that just a talking point for Democrats, green jobs?
No, it's really real, and now it's not just talk. There's $3 trillion out there in the street recently released or being released to help green buildings all across the country, creating tens of millions of new jobs. The whole challenge is going to be having black companies that are trained on how to do this kind of work, and also having black workers trained and on the job to do this work. Now, in New York, one of the things that the de Blasio administration introduced and the Adams administration supported, and it got passed in the New York State legislature, 30% of everyone hired on a government-funded job in construction will have to come from public housing or zip codes of 15% or higher levels of poverty. And that is going to be enforced. That's law. And in my view, this is what cities and states should be doing across the country to make sure our folks get on the job and get a piece of this action. And the unions in New York supported it. In many parts of the country, they don't. But we have to turn up the heat.
Yeah. When you shared that story, my ears perked up, in part because I wanted to ask, and I will now, and maybe the answer is because it's New York, a very blue state. But I was going to ask how y'all got something like that. It's very innovative. But how did y'all get something like that passed into law in New York State when we're living in a moment where these folk on the right are going after any and every kind of program that they believe advantages people of color from affirmative action on down? They're not stopping. They've been emboldened by this recent Supreme Court decision.
So this is just a flat-out fight. And last Friday, a right-wing group from Texas sued recipients of $20 billion from the Environmental Protection Agency, the majority of which is targeting communities of color, to try and tie up the money until after November. And that's just a straight-up attack. And in New York, what we did, I went to the building trades in New York, and I said, we have a black-led assembly at the state. We have a black majority leader in the Senate. We have a black state attorney general. And if you look at the demographics, New York is only going to get blacker or browner from here on out. So you can either be with us, and we can change things together, or you're going to be in a bad position if we go against you. They got that logic and said, let's be together. And I think all across the country, we need to be engaged in conversations with labor and with contractors and others, saying if you want work in L.A. or Houston or Chicago or New York or Cleveland or cities where we have black leadership, you're going to have to change your tune and your operations and put our people on the job. It's that simple.
Yep. What is not simple, to my mind, and you could disagree with me, and if you do disagree, I am happy to have you disabuse me of this notion, even though I'm doing the work every single day, or doing my best effort to do the work with this year-long climate justice campaign that we are engaged in, an over $2 million campaign. It has a lot of layers to it, including this symposium tonight on C-SPAN. But it's not a sexy subject. It's not an easy subject, and I am always looking for ways to make the case, the appeal to black folk in particular, about why these issues matter to them. Give me your best appeal.
First of all, it's jobs and business contracts, millions. And I believe we could literally end poverty if we train our young folks to do this work. Secondly, black folks are the most at risk from excessive heat and heat islands. The entire Bronx and northern Manhattan is a heat island. Much of LA is a heat island. That's where we live, and we are the least able to afford air conditioning and other kinds of cooling and other things to help us deal with that. So we are most at risk, and our health is most at risk from climate change. So to me, those two things together make it imperative that black folks get involved in this. And we elected Biden. Our vote was decisive. Now that the money's coming out, folks who didn't vote for Biden are lining up trying to grab the money. These are the programs we fought for.
Yeah.
So we should actually take advantage of them.
As is my way when I open my eyes in the morning after precious little sleep these days, and I grab my phone to see what I missed while I was sleeping in advance of getting ready to come into the studio to do the show for the day, making sure I'm up to speed. This is the first story, literally the first story I saw this morning when my eyes opened. Headline: tens of millions in U.S. under dangerous heat warnings. The warming temperatures come amid growing concern about the effects of extreme heat and wildfire smoke. First story I saw. Here I am today preparing to moderate a national conversation tonight about climate justice, climate equity, and climate resilience. And the first headline I see is that tens of millions in U.S. under dangerous heat warnings even right now. If that wasn't a message to me about why this conversation tonight on C-SPAN is so important, nothing could have made the point stronger for me. I'll give you the last 60 seconds here, J. Philip Thompson. I've enjoyed this conversation immensely. What say you about whether or not the damage done already to our planet is irreparable?
Well, no, and no one knows the answer to that question. We don't know because we haven't really tried to save the planet. We haven't planted enough new trees. So if we put our mind and our will to it, we don't know how the planet will respond. And so the scientific community is as in the dark as anybody else. What we do know is that if we do nothing, we're in trouble.
Former deputy mayor of the city of New York, now MIT's, I should say, J. Philip Thompson, urban planner, and I'm, again, pleased to have had him on this program. Thank you for your work and your witness ongoing, brother. Good to have you on. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you, and I'm so happy you're giving the attention to this issue that it deserves. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, sir. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Joe Biden's presidential campaign says it raised $85 million in the month of May. The Biden campaign touted hefty support this week from grassroots donors and said they entered June with over $212 million in total funds raised. They also said May was the campaign's best month for recurring donations. Mayor Brandon Johnson is announcing much-needed help for victims of gun violence in Chicago, Illinois. The African-American mayor announced yesterday that he's expanding the Emergency Supplemental Victims Fund program. It started helping 5 Chicago communities and now has grown to 10 more neighborhoods. Families who have lost a loved one to murder can get $1,500 to help with funeral or burial expenses. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their end-to-end solution helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all year round. Schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from your Indeed dashboard. Learn more by visiting Indeed.com/credit.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There are tons of questions in response to the Lakers hiring J.J. Redick as the team's next coach. At the top of the list is whether Redick will survive the 4-year contract he was offered by the Lakers. The 4-year term might not mean much. Redick is the 8th coach hired by the Lakers since Phil Jackson left in 2011. None of the previous 7 coaches lasted more than 3 years. That list includes Frank Vogel. Vogel led the Lakers to their last championship in 2020. A lot of eyes will be on Lakers on the Genie Bus, A&G, and Rob Pelinka to see if they made the right move with Redick. A sellout crowd of 8,300 showed up Thursday night at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama to watch the San Francisco Giants and St. Louis Cardinals play a regular season game. The game was a tribute to Willie Mays and the Negro Leagues. Bill Greason, the oldest living Negro Leagues player at age 99, threw out the first pitch. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader. Follow 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 the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Single Moms Planet is a nonprofit organization dedicated to uplifting under-resourced single mom business owners and working mothers nationwide. Single Moms Planet offers comprehensive programs of financial literacy, business development, mentorship, and entrepreneurial training. They provide education, accountability, and hope. Single Moms Planet was founded by model, TV personality, and producer Nefertari Plessy. Nefertari felt firsthand the challenges that face single moms as she was raised by a working single mother. She learned that the most disadvantaged group in the United States are single mom families. According to the U.S. Census, 30% live under the poverty line. So she decided to do something about it, along with co-founder Cole Patterson. Their goal is to end the poverty cycle in single mother households through education, opportunity, and networking, providing family and child enrichment programs for under-resourced single-parent families. Single Moms Planet serves over 10,000 single moms and their children each year. Studies show that business development and financial literacy provide a positive environment for children and families, exposing them to new possibilities and opportunities. To attend one of their fun events, make a donation, or get more information, or if you need help as a single mom, please visit singlemomsplanet.org. That's singlemomsplanet.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
Jamming, and I hope you like jamming too. Ain't no rules, ain't no vow. We can do it anyhow. I and I will see you through. 'Cause every day we pay the price.
Bob Marley on Tavis, Smiley, all 3 hours of today's program. As we continue to celebrate June, Black Music Month, we choose a different artist every day to play some of the best of their grand contributions to the soundtrack of our lives. Once again, here in Black Music Month of June. And today, it's Bob Marley, all 3 hours of our program. As promised now, a conversation with filmmaker Andre Gaines about his new History Channel documentary. It's called Triumph, Jesse Owens and the Berlin Olympics. There's a backstory to Jesse Owens that you really might not know. We know the name, but do you know the backstory? Somebody once said, you see my glory, but do you know my backstory? And the backstory of Jesse Owens comes through quite nicely in this documentary. It's exec produced by some guy named LeBron James and his partner Maverick Carter. The narration on the documentary is done by the brilliant actor Don Cheadle. Before we commence our conversation with Andre Gaines, here now the trailer for the History Channel documentary, Triumph, Jesse Owens and the Berlin Olympics.
He was before Jackie Robinson, before Muhammad Ali, at the very forefront.
Jesse Owens was one of history's greatest athletes. I bet you already knew that. It's time to meet the man behind the gold. He was a patriot who loved his country even when it didn't love him back.
In 1930s America, he is a second-class citizen.
In 1931, the Olympic Committee awards the Olympic Games to Germany.
This is the story of a world at war and of black excellence.
Jesse is a clear threat to Hitler's Aryan ideology.
Owens was snubbed by Adolf Hitler.
If you were black, you recognize that type of disrespect.
He used to say he didn't go to shake hands with Hitler. He went there to run, and run he did.
When it really comes down to it, it is the most simplistic thing. Who's faster?
Triumph, Jesse Owens and the Berlin Olympics. Premieres Wednesday, June 19th at 8, only on the History Channel.
Andre, congrats on the documentary. Good to have you on the program. How are you today, sir?
Good, good. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you on. Let me jump right in and make the most of the few minutes that we have here. Why Jesse Owens as a subject for you?
It was an opportunity to really tell the full story. You know, it was as a filmmaker, I've made movies about Dick Gregory. I've made movies about Jackie Robinson. After finishing the Jackie Robinson film that I also did with LeBron James, we sort of immediately started talking about, you know, who else's story we really don't know, and Jesse Owens was at the top of the list. So it was an opportunity to take a story that people think that they know and really tell them what happened. In his life and at Berlin Olympics.
Yeah, when you use the phrase full story, you want to tell the full story. Unpack what you mean by the full story.
Well, you know, your intro is there was the backstory. There was a life before the Olympics, and there was a life after the Olympics. And while we have this nucleus or this center point where we have a centerpiece, I guess I should say, where we have Jesse Owens' story of going to Berlin and winning 4 gold medals. Most people just kind of think that's where the story starts and stops, but that's not it. This was a human being who was a son, a father, a husband, and really experienced some incredible discrimination, not only in his time as a athlete, but especially after coming back and expecting a hero's welcome after leaving Jim Crow America and going to Nazi-occupied Germany. I mean, it's a discrimination on a level that nobody can really imagine in modern times.
Yeah, let me ask you how I know this story. I happen to know, have known for years Jesse Owens' granddaughter, and so because I know the family, I've known a good part of this story, and because I've known the family, I've read a lot more over the years. After engaging them in conversation, wanted to learn more about Jesse Owens myself, and the story, to your point, of what happens when he comes back here after he wins those 4 gold medals. And it is, this is me talking. I want to get your take on it. It is somewhat disappointing, obviously. It is depressing. It makes a huge statement about America, who she was then. Not that a whole lot has changed since then. But when you consider his exploits in Berlin and what he did, again, winning those 4 golds, and when you juxtapose that, as people will see when they see the documentary, it's called, once again, Triumph, Jesse Owens and the Berlin Olympics, on the History Channel, documentary the filmmaker of that is our guest right now, Andre Gaines. But when you know the backstory to what happens when he comes home, it's depressing for me, man. So depressing. How did you process? How did you process as a filmmaker telling that part of the story?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, really. I mean, for me, I think that one of the things that sort of spurred the desire to tell this story once I made the decision to do so, and LeBron James made the decision to do so, was really the research of what happened immediately upon Jesse Owens coming back to the United States. You know, historians are largely preoccupied with the fact that he won these 4 gold medals and Hitler didn't shake his hand. But he didn't care about that. He didn't go over there to get his hand shook by Hitler. But when he came back, he didn't get invited to the White House by FDR, and he didn't shake his hand either. He has a ticker tape parade but can't go to the hotels, stay in the hotels on that same block, or eat at the restaurants on that same block. You know, gets banned from running, losing his amateur status, and is relegated to circus tricks. He's got to run against horses in order to make ends meet. Like when I started doing the research for this, learning that was something that really stuck out to me. But the inspiring part of it is how he pulled himself out of this and left us the legacy that we have now. You know, that was a brief moment in his history and the arc of Jesse Owens. He was only 21 years old when he did all of this. He was at the very beginning kind of his career in life. So that's why we wanted to tell the story. It's a lot more complicated than people think.
What did you learn in the telling of the story, Andre Gaines, about the way he navigated that particular period? So you go to Berlin, you win 4 gold, you're the toast of the world, you come home, you don't get invited to the White House. To your point, you lose your amateur status, you're running against, horses in a circus to make a living, et cetera, et cetera. What did you learn about the way that he, his fortitude? Tell me more about how Jesse Owens navigated that period.
Yeah, well, it's a special type of determination, perseverance, and will that you often only see with especially athletes of that level. We've seen that with LeBron James. We've seen it with Tiger Woods. We've seen it with so many folks that have to deal with trials and tribulations in their lives while having to get onto the field and perform at the highest levels. Those are special kind of people. They don't come around as often as people think, maybe kind of once, twice in a generation. And Jesse Owens, kicked that off. He was the one who started this. This was before Jackie Robinson, before Muhammad Ali and Bill Russell and Jim Brown and all of these, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all these great athletes that became activists. So what Jesse Owens was, really able to do and be an example to all of us is what razor sharp focus really looks like in the when you're faced with that level of adversity.
That's a fascinating word, activist. When we come forward in our conversation with Andre Gaines about his new documentary for the History Channel called Triumph, Jesse Owens and the Berlin Olympics, I wonder whether he would call Jesse Owens an example, as he just did, or whether he would call him an activist, or whether he would call him both. That part, when we come forward on Tavis.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
call your senior Medicare patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Tavis, Smiley, and Andre Gaines, who is the filmmaker behind the new History Channel documentary called Triumph, Jesse Owens and the Berlin Olympics, exec produced by LeBron James and Maverick Carter, with narration by Don Cheadle. It's a great piece of work. I've checked it out, and you will not be disappointed when you see the full story, as he said, that Andre Gaines brings to life about the iconic Jesse Owens. You ran a list a moment ago of a number of persons who came after Jesse Owens, who became activists in their own right. Jackie Robinson, Jim Brown. There are a number on the list that you ran a moment ago. Some of them I've known. Many of them I've had a chance to interview in my career. Bill Russell, Muhammad Ali, and others I've been honored to be in dialogue with. When I think of Jesse Owens, I think of him certainly as an example. I don't know that I think of him as an activist in the way that I do some of the others, but that's my read. What's your read?
No, it's true. It's true. He was an accidental activist, but once he realized what who he was as a symbol, he really accepted that. You have to recall that, for folks who do know the history, the U.S. was planning to boycott, actually, the Olympics because it was in Nazi Germany, and obviously their discrimination and treatment of Jews and what they were doing over there. And they were really burdening Jesse to lead as the example of someone who was going to boycott the Olympics. But, he was really just focused on his dream of going there, running, being the fastest man on the planet, and winning. And I think that both Jesse Owens and Jackie Robinson, who followed 11 years later, they both had this kind of accidental activism by virtue of being a symbol, but their form of protest was winning. There's many forms of protest. It's just go out there and win, be the best you can at what position you're in. And that's what Jesse Owens did, and he was the one who kind of kick-started the entire idea of having black athletes as activists who have a political agenda and can actually stand up for something.
Yeah. I wonder, and I'll ask this question in a moment when we come forward in our remaining moments with Andre Gaines, whether Jesse Owens was actually comfortable with being that symbol. I'm thinking of Charles Barkley. I heard a news announcement yesterday that Barkley's going to do, another year or so as an analyst on TNT, and he's retiring from that and doing something else. What, I do not know. But another year, we're told we can see Charles Barkley on the TNT basketball program. He's stepping aside. But you recall some years ago, Charles Barkley did that commercial that I am not a role model. I am not a role model. Well, I'm not a role model either, but I am a race model unapologetically. I don't mind being a race model. I'm a race man. I say that again unapologetically. But that garment doesn't fit everybody the same way. Some people don't want to be role models. They don't want to be race models. He calls, Andre Gaines calls Jesse Owens an accidental activist, but I'm curious as to whether he was ever comfortable with that symbol, with the role that he found himself in when he returned home after winning those 4 gold medals in Berlin. We'll get to that when we come forward in our remaining moments with the filmmaker behind the new History Channel doc called Triumph, Jesse Owens and the Berlin Olympics. His name is Andre Gaines, and I'm pleased to have him as a guest right now on Tavis.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know that streaming music, ebooks, audiobooks, movies, and more is available for free from the Los Angeles Public Library? With your library card, you can access the latest music and movies, audiobooks and ebooks, graphic novels, comic books, magazines, and more. If you don't have a library card and live in the city of Los Angeles, you can get a digital card online for free. Check it out at lapl.org/emedia. That's lapl.org/emedia.
Tune into More Than That with Gia Peppers, live this Sunday at 4 p.m. or whenever you listen to podcasts. This episode of More Than That is sponsored by Gillette Skin Guard, helping black men look and feel their best. Gillette, the best a man can get.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. By any other name, we demand environmental justice in 2024 and beyond. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now. Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Andre Gaines. Got about 3 or 4 minutes left here in this hour. So, Andre, how did Jesse wear that garment of being this this symbol, this accidental activist that he hadn't planned on, obviously?
I think he really came to accept it later in life, more so than he did when he went over to the Olympics in 1936. I mean, we have to remember this man was 21 years old. Mm-hmm. We can think about where we all were when we were 21 years old. We hadn't graduated college yet. He was leaving Jim Crow America and going to Nazi Germany. As Bill Rhoden says in the film, he was leaving the skillet to go to the frying pan. I mean, to have that level of burden and only being the only black person in the room there was substantial. And so he chose to carry that burden on his shoulders as a runner and be the fastest man alive, which is what he was. And he did that gallantly. But later in life, when he became an ambassador and those types of things, I think he sort of felt comfortable in those shoes.
Yep. I got 2 minutes here to go. What have you learned in doing some documentaries with some pretty amazing athletes and others about what it takes to stay and to be focused in competition when all these other things are swirling around you, particularly if you happen to be black and you're being put upon in a variety of ways, as have many athletes that you've profiled? What have you learned about that tenacity, about the capacity, the ability to focus when everything else around them is just chaotic?
Yeah, I mean, I have been quite lucky, and I think that from all of these historic figures and icons that I've been lucky enough to be able to tell the stories of, it really is just aim higher. You know, if you're going to complain, if you're going to protest, if you're going to, you know, stand up for freedom, liberation, and try to see to it that your people are right there with you, you need to aim higher and really stay focused and understand the true meaning of perseverance. We complain quite often about a lot of mundane things in our lives, but when you're looking at achievement on this level, you understand what that level of focus, that tunnel vision, can actually be exceptionally valuable to you and the folks around you if your aims and your targets are much higher than and greater than you.
No.
So it's another opportunity, you know, to be able to bring that type of story to the world.
No, I'm glad you did, and I love that. I love that answer. Aim higher. That's great advice for all of us, whether we're world-class athletes or not. Right? Everybody, somebody say amen. Aim higher. I think.
Right.
I think.
In some way, right.
Yeah, aim higher. I think of the word, as you were saying that, I thought the words of the great poet Samuel Beckett, who once wrote, "Ever tried, ever failed, try again, fail better." It's all about failing better, which means you're aiming higher every time you aim. His name is Andre Gaines.
Amen.
Amen to that. The History Channel documentary that he has created and curated is called Triumph, Jesse Owens and the Berlin Olympics, produced by LeBron James and Maverick Carter and narrated by Don Cheadle. You done good, Andre. You done good, man. Thanks for coming on the program. I appreciate you.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless you. Good to have you on. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Joe Biden's presidential campaign says it raised $85 million in the month of May.